Football is always going to be about goals, okay? Not to say nothing else matters, obviously, but at the end of the day, the ball has to be put into the net, and everybody on the pitch's job is to either make that happen or prevent that from happening. Of course, that means that the players that guide the ball into its final destination are some of the most exciting players on the pitch. For the longest time, strikers have been the center of the biggest sport on the planet. The position has gone through evolution just like the others. The traditional big smash-it-in striker eventually accepted other variants like the smaller, quicker striker and the high IQ, more technical striker, for example. Pep played a big role in popularizing the false nine in modern football with Messi, even though it technically already existed before. That led to more versatile central attackers becoming even more of a stamp in the sport. Although the center forward position began to dry up a bit as the golden era died down, certain players have perfected different aspects of the position and adapted it into the modern game until we've reached a point where all of a sudden the striker position is booming and more versatile than ever. In these first couple months of the 25-26 season, there's been plenty of standout center forwards, but there's been three specific ones a solid cut above the rest. Kylian Mbappé, Erling Haaland, and Harry Kane. All three are putting up diabolical numbers. Mbappe's played 12 games this season for club and country, and he's scored in 11 of them. He has 16 goals and 3 assists, 3 braces and a hat trick, and sure, 6 of those goals are penalties, but he's winning a lot of those himself. He's looked just as explosive as his old self. A lot of people were concerned he lost some of his burst because he didn't look all that dangerous during the 2024 Euros and the first half of last season. He's improved slightly when it comes to some of the more traditional striker responsibilities like holding up the ball and link-up play and shit, but let's be real, that was never his strength, and I don't think he'll ever develop into like a Benzema type player or something. He's fast, he's explosive, he's skilled, he's flashy. He's this generation's representative for the Thierry Henry archetype. Then you have Erling Haaland. He's played 11 games for City and Norway and only failed to score in 1. He has 18 goals and 3 assists, including a 5-goal performance against Moldova and 4 braces for City. He looks more monstrous than ever. A lot of people look at him like a freight train, but he's got so much better at using his strength more intelligently, and as a result, his hold-up play is the best it's ever been, and he's probably the best traditional striker in modern football. He's huge. Give him a half chance anywhere in the box and he'll turn it into a goal. He can finish from odd and uncomfortable angles, and he's a physical monster that's almost impossible to bully. He's not in one single specific brand of striker because he has a very uncommon mix of qualities. Sure, he's part of the Ruud van Nistelrooy brand that are elite finishers and box prowlers with crazy positioning, but most of them don't also have the absurd physical attributes that Haaland has. Zlatan had those physical attributes, but he was far more skilled with the ball than Haaland, so that one isn't really too direct of a comparison either. Haaland is his own brand of beast. Then you have Harry Kane. Like the other two, he's scored or assisted in every single game he's played besides one. In 12 games, he has 19 goals and 3 assists. He has 2 hat tricks, and he literally has more games where he's scored at least a brace than games where he hasn't. The penalty thing is kind of overstated too. Only 6 of his 19 goals are penalties. Even if you completely remove them, then he'd have 13 non-penalty goals in 12 games. He's been the most clinical finisher in Europe too. In the Bundesliga, he has 11 goals from just 5.9 expected goals. Yes, he's still doing the midfielder gimmick, but to be fair to him, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. With players like Diaz and Olise around him, he's having the time of his life doing his little drop-in-deep routine. It's what sets him apart from players like Mbappe and Haaland because, yes, they're more physically gifted than him, but neither of them can do what he does in his role. There was a time where forwards that dropped into the 10 position and became playmakers literally ran the sport. Del Piero, Totti, Bergkamp. It was the premier position in the late 90s and early 2000s. I swear we talked about this a while ago in the attacking midfielder video from like last year, I think. Kane is probably one of the last elite center forwards left that still has that role, even though it's a bit of a warped modern version of a 10. Either way, it's the main reason he'll remain elite well into his 30s, unlike many others who would have started to fizzle out by now. Mbappe, Haaland, and Kane each represent a different type of striker, and I love the fact that if you put them in the same club, they'd all be able to start together in the same 11. Mbappe off to the left. If we're being honest, he still ends up drifting more to that wing, and it's still a bit of an issue when it comes to him and Vinny, despite the fact that they're getting better at playing together. Either way, he'd have no issues at left winger. You stick Haaland up top with Kane right behind him. They're completely different players despite the same general position. Their heat maps and their touches per game further emphasize that. Haaland pretty much lives in the box, and for City, he only averages 21 touches per game. Just 21, which is insane considering how much he gets done. The guy had 12 touches against Wolves and came away with a brace. Mbappe is left biased, which is expected since he's naturally a left winger, like we just said, and he still prefers attacking from that side. He averages almost 60 touches per game, which makes a lot of sense since he likes dribbling far more than both Haaland and Kane. Kane is much more spread out than the other two due to how much he drops deep and floats around. He averages around 40 touches per game and is far more involved in other phases of build-up. I don't know, the undisputed three best strikers in the world, each displaying three different crucial aspects of the position, is cool to me. Even though City have been our rivals for the past few years, I will admit that Haaland being even more dominant after KDB's departure and with Rodri being a shell of himself at the moment is kind of satisfying because all the idiots who said he only scored a lot because of elite creators behind him look stupid. Right now, City for the most part look like ass outside of Haaland and Doku and maybe like a couple others. They aren't dominating teams and ending games early like they used to. They're conceding easily. They're not as fluid. Yet Haaland is still being Haaland. What's the excuse now? Yes, Haaland is a bulldozer, but it's kind of funny how he's become underrated skill-wise just because of how strong he is. Look at some of Gyökeres's performances since he joined us. He's shown flashes of potential as one of those big, strong strikers, but he's always falling over in the box. He's got tossed around a couple times by average center backs, and he's constantly losing the ball with some real question mark touches. Compare the way he uses his body to Haaland. It's not even close. People act like it's easy for anybody big to be an elite striker, and that's such a simpleton way of viewing things when there's a lot of big-ass strikers who look like idiots out there. Haaland is literally Giannis to me. Champions who often get disrespected for playing like a bulldozer, and it makes people think both of them aren't that skilled, when in reality, Giannis has insane handles for his size and ridiculous touch around the basket for someone as strong as him, and Haaland is an extremely high IQ striker with insane box presence and box movement along with fantastic positioning. If it was so easy, any 7-footer would be as dominant as Giannis, and any big, strong striker would be as good as Haaland, but they're not. It's okay to admit how elite they are. It's looking like Haaland is going to do most of the heavy lifting to put City in position to be part of the title race later in the year. Mbappe, meanwhile, has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting for a Madrid team that still has a few issues. Güler has been a bright spot, but Vinny is still hot and cold, and Jude has barely played so far due to injury issues to start the year. Mbappe's consistency has been the backbone of Madrid so far, and he's the main reason they're sat in first place. Kane is the only one of the big three that has a team that's in full flow around him. We're back to the days where center forwards put the team on their back, and I can't say it's not entertaining. Outside of the big three, Alvarez is carrying a dead Atletico squad right now. They're fifth in La Liga, but they've dropped points 5 times in 8 games. That Rayo Vallecano game, he literally went back and forth with them by himself and ended up with a hat trick in the 88th minute winner. He scored a wild free kick when they slapped up Madrid, but overall, he's been the only bright spot for Atletico this season, and rumor has it he wants to leave. Ekitike has been one of the best parts of an up and down start for Liverpool this season. I'm still mad Arsenal never went for him, bro. I'm sorry. He scored the winning goal for them a couple times, but outside of that, he's shown insane skill and smoothness for how tall and lanky he is. And it's crazy that he hasn't even fully clicked with his teammates yet because he's had a few outstanding moments. Guirassy is having another great year. In 11 games for club and country, he has 7 goals and 3 assists. I'm not sure if he's underrated anymore, but he's one of the high-tier strikers on the planet right now. I think Thuram is still underrated, to be honest. One of the more complete strikers in the world, despite not being in the top tier of the elites in most areas. I'd also like to point out that we're getting all this great striker play, and not only have Isak and Gyökeres not even really gotten off the ground yet, but Dembele has been hurt most of the early season, and he plays striker now too. Obviously, if we're comparing these starts to the way players were starting in the golden era, then it's nothing to go insane about. But if you compare anything to the golden era, then you're not going to be the most impressed. So we should probably stop doing that. Kane, Mbappe, and Haaland are giving us some of the most excitement we've seen from the center forward position in a little bit. It's kind of sad that it's World Cup year because that's probably going to be what decides the Ballon d'Or. And with Haaland playing for Norway, he'd have to do something utterly nonsensical to even have a chance. Thanks for watching, y'all. It's international break, so I'll probably shit out another video before it's over. Yeah, see y'all next time.